Hi everyone, Adam from Friendship Tree. Welcome back to our awesome podcast series. Today, very special guest, Nic Marchesi from Orange Sky. Nic, before we start, just want to say, dude, our whole team has been such a follower of your organisation over the last decade. Seen the impact you've made, things you guys are doing and the growth. I'm a local here in Brisbane and we see your vans everywhere. And it's just super cool, man. So I guess before we get into, all the good things you are currently doing, I really just want a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of origin. I know there's a story with a van, a washing machine, and a garage where you were. So can we just start there, just for our community to really sort of understand about the passion behind all these amazing organisations? So yeah, Nic, fill us in.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. And Orange Sky started here in Brisbane in 2014, but I think I know that my eyes were open to homelessness here in Brisbane much earlier than that. So I was fortunate enough to go to school with Lucas, my co-founder. Lucas was at the top of the class, I was at the bottom of the class. And one morning my mum came into my bedroom and she said, Nic, you got to chuck your school uniform on. We're going on Eddie's van. And Eddie's van was our school's food van that went out and fed people doing it tough. And I can remember that morning as a teenager not wanting to go. I couldn't think of anything, less that I would want to do. And my mum sort of dragged me into the car kicking and screaming. And we drove out to this van in this park. And I can remember getting out of that car and sort of like hiding, not wanting to be there. And I met a guy that morning by the name of Harry. And Harry was just like my uncle or my granddad. But the difference is that he was sleeping in that park. And meeting Harry had a massive impact on my life. I didn't realize that there were people out there in my own backyard that didn't have access to things that I'd taken for granted. And giving back really sort of started from there, in realizing how privileged and lucky I was and Lucas and I were, and our community was, and also really curious around like how can we support fellow people in our backyard. So finished school again. Lucas at the top of class, I was pretty close to the bottom, and had an opportunity to or really missed that opportunity rather, to give back to the community. And so this crazy idea came, which was around, could we provide basic hygiene services to that community? And, our first mission statement at Orange Sky was to improve hygiene standards. So I guess what you do when you have any idea is you ask people you love. And so I can remember coming home, I was living at home, and I told my parents, I was like, Mum, Dad, Lucas and I want to start a free mobile laundry. And my parents said, like, how about you start washing your own fucking clothes? And so, Lucas, maybe they didn't swear, but that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
So, Lucas and I knew very little about washing and drying clothes. We knew very little about starting a charity. But what we knew a lot of is that there was an opportunity to help people in our own backyard. And I guess that was the sort of seed to this big Orange Sky tree, is that, we wanted to provide a way that a couple people in Brizzy could wash and dry their clothes, and that's grown into something much bigger. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. And I guess one thing that really strikes me, and, from looking at what you guys do and even being out to your site here in Brizzy, meeting some of your gang, it's amazing people, and also being able to see some friends in need out there that day that were getting some washing done, having a chat with them. The piece that maybe a lot of people don't see is the connection piece, Nic. Can you just, it's one thing to have a shower and get some fresh clothes, which obviously is amazing, but it's the offshoots, it's the branches that lead out from that. Tell us about those conversations in those orange chairs that happen.
So our first van's name was Sudsy, and we convinced this company to give us some washing machines. We had an old van, and the idea was that this van would go out alongside our old school's food van and a bunch of other locations in Brisbane and provide that mission statement, which was improving hygiene services. So we took the van out alongside our old school food van. We set it up. I woke someone up and I said, I know this sounds really random, but that van over there has got some washing machines. Do you want to wash your clothes? And that first ever wash was a guy by the name of Jordan. And we put Jordan's washing in the washing machine. We started the van and there's this massive bang. I'm like, I don't know if washing machines are meant to make that sound. We called up the big laundry company. A few weeks earlier, they told us that this would never work and, we were going to break the machines. And we told them what happened and they were like, you've broken both the washing machines. So that morning was really sucked because we'd been added to a long list of people throughout Jordan's life who'd let him down. But we were really curious around this is something that had to work. So we begged and pleaded for some more washing machines, went out the next morning. There was Jordan. For whatever reason, Jordan was going to trust these two blokes to wash and dry his clothes. We put Jordan's washing in the machine and the van had a massive bang. And it was at that morning that we really realised that Orange Sky was something that had to work because Jordan had trusted us 2 days in a row. So we begged and pleaded for some more washing machines, went out the third morning in a row. Jordan trusted us again. We put Jordan's washing in the machine and everything worked perfectly. And it was at that point that we actually realised that what we thought we were out there to do at Orange Sky, which was wash and dry clothes, was only a small part of what Orange Sky would ever do, because we were like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
You know, Jordan's only possessions in his life were stuck in the machine. We were stealing water from the council and plugged into the tap, so we couldn't go anywhere. So it's like, well, let's sit down and get to know each other. And, you know, that conversation changed Lucas and I's lives forever.
Yeah.
And it changed the trajectory of Orange Sky forever, because we then rewrote our mission to positively connecting communities. And how we do that now each and every day is through providing really important hygiene services like showers and laundry, but most importantly, creating spaces where people from all walks of life can come together and get to know each other. And you know, we talk about Orange Sky, better for being orange, and leaving a shift in a better place than you came. And that's not only for the friends that come. We hope that they leave in a better place because they've got clean clothes and an awesome chat. But it's also the volunteers that too are lonely and isolated. So they get to come down, have a chat, connect, have a massive impact in the community, and everyone leaves in hopefully a much better place.
Yeah, it's even just from I was only there for a couple of hours with your team, and obviously seeing you guys around for years, but to actually be at one of your facilities where the machines are being modified, the vans are being sorted, and just the passion of your team, you know, the young men and women coming in and driving these vans and getting around, and just the conversations had. So I guess it's the piece that I really want to share with the communities that you and I want to reach is just that. The community, it's, you know, you're offering an amazing service and, you know, uplifting our friends out there that need a bit of a help. But tell us about the communities you're building, because you've got, you know, a lot of teams around Australia, a lot of different communities you're actually servicing. I stood in your foyer there and saw your amazing map of Australia and even NZ now, and saw all your locations. It was really inspiring. So I know that there's been a really big push, and you guys have, you know, obviously had to break through a lot of technical stuff to get out west and get into inner Australia and to get out to those rural communities. Can you just tell us a little bit more? Because I guess when people from the city think about Orange Sky, they think that Orange Sky is just in all our capital cities, but Orange Sky is actually really big. WA, NT, Central Queensland. Can you just tell us about that? Tell us about those communities and the impact and the uplift.
Yeah, so we planted that seed in October 2014 with that first van, Sudsy, and we have now over 80 assets around Australia operating in 57 locations. We launched our 57th location this week in Charters Towers, and you know, now Orange Sky's this massive tree with you know, those assets operate over 450 times every week. We've got over 4,000 volunteers that run those services. You know, 40% of our services are in some of the most remote parts of Australia, whether that be through Cape York in Queensland or through the Kimberley region or through Arnhem Land or the Central Desert. And so I guess what we've realised over the last decade or more is that, you know, homelessness and hardship isn't just people rough sleeping in Brisbane. And there's a lot of stereotypes and stigmas around homelessness. You know, what I was taught about homelessness growing up and what I saw as homelessness and hardship here in Brisbane is actually completely different to what is actually a reality. Only 6% of homelessness in Australia is rough sleeping, and the other large majorities is people in unsafe or temporary accommodation or in overcrowded accommodation, and all the other flow-on effects of having, you know, inadequate housing or hygiene services. So I guess we've been blown away when, you know, we got a phone call, or we had a donor actually rock up to the first park that we ever operated. Her name was Carol, and we'd just become a registered charity. And Carol was like, "What's next for Orange Sky?" And we had this like dodgy van Sudsy. It was a massive generator, and like it was just this like patched together, you know, experiment. We're like, we're going to build another van. Yeah. And Carol was like, well, how much is another van? And we're like we were 19. And we're like, it costs $100,000 to build another van. We wanted to put water tanks in it and generators. And she went down to her handbag and wrote a check. Wow. And she said, go build that second van. And so
incredible.
That moment completely changed the trajectory for Orange Sky. And now, we've got thousands of donors, thousands of volunteers, but most importantly, thousands of friends each and every week that trust Orange Sky. And, back to the beautiful tree that we always talk about is that, what is core to Orange Sky is the trust of that community. It's volunteers trusting us with their time. It's supporters trusting us to have an impact with their amazing support. And it's friends trusting us to provide a really safe space for them to come in, have access to our service, but also have an awesome chat.
And look, I guess through the journey, we can just dive a little bit deeper, and it's really good for people to know, like how obviously you've learned heaps, I'm sure. It's such an amazing, the giving space and, the sort of people and planet space is an amazing space to work in. Very challenging and can be really difficult. How was you being innovative within, a new Australian organisation over the last decade? How's that changed you? What are some of the key things you've learned? And then we'll talk about a bit of growth.
Yeah, it's been one of the greatest privileges, if not the greatest privilege of my life, being a part of Orange Sky. And, we talk about curiosity at Orange Sky. We talk about connection. We talk about giving things a crack. And I think they're all fundamental to our brand. We spoke about trust. Like all of these really basic human values are really on display and tested at Orange Sky. You talk about challenge, and it's very easy to get overwhelmed with the significant disadvantage that's in communities, the challenges of getting washing machines to work in a van, the challenges of fundraising in a difficult environment. But what we really believe at Orange Sky is that we can embrace that challenge. And that's actually a big part of our mission, is that we are working with people in potentially the toughest times of their life. We're working in an environment where it's not easy, but if we actually embrace that challenge, I think there is an amazing opportunity to innovate. And, some of those greatest innovations have come through when we've had scarcity or when we've had multiple setbacks. Like, if we hadn't had the challenges of getting our first van to work, we might have never done what we had done, because we sort of enjoyed that challenge of people telling us, you'll never get washing machines to work in a van. And for a period of time, they were all right. Like we broke so many machines, and we still break a lot of machines. But what we didn't know is that the impact that it would have. So I guess, we sort of try and embrace those values. And one of my favorite Orange Sky values is giving things a crack. And I think if we always give things a crack, our organisation will be doing good. Yeah,
awesome. And talking about innovation, can you tell us about, I've heard something about the Warra dryer. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Warra dryer, it's a Pitjantjatjara word for fire. And,
right.
Fire has been bringing people together for millennia. So the reason why, we invented our own clothes dryer is that, a couple years ago, in every one of our vans, we had these massive generators to dry clothes. And drying clothes is really important to us because when you wash someone's clothes, when they don't have a place to dry them, there's no point, washing the clothes if you can't hand them back clean, warm and dry. So we'd sort of got this mindset that we needed these generators to run. These generators were really expensive. And I went to place an order. We did a big trip around Australia, and I was currently in the central desert. And Lucas and I had a chat, and it's like, cool, let's order another 10 generators, and called up the company, and they were like, there's no generators for a couple of years. I was like, what do you mean? Like, we need these generators. We're doing good. We're helping people. We're going to pay for them. And they're like, we've got such a backlog of these generators. And I can remember sitting in a tent all night, just thinking about how we were going to power our vans. There was no other generator we could use. There was no other battery big enough to power these dryers that we were using. And then we just had the idea around, like, how about we build our own clothes dryer? And the idea was around using a fuel source to generate heat. And so, we came up with the idea of the Warra dryer. And the Warra dryer, it uses 90% less electrical energy than any dryer in the market, but has the same thermal performance through burning a fuel. And what that meant was that we had this crazy idea. We did a lot of trial and error. We made a lot of mistakes, and we got it to a point that we were happy to put it in our vans. And what that meant is that we could remove all the generators across our fleet and run on solar and batteries. But, there's still lots of innovation that we need to do at Orange Sky. We sometimes think that, Orange Sky is a hardware organization where we've got these vans, we've got these pods, and we've got these trucks. And there's so much we can change about them. We can make them better or more efficient or safer or, more impactful. But also what we realize is that Orange Sky actually isn't a hardware organization. It's a people organization. And each and every week we've got those thousands of volunteers, thousands of friends, thousands of supporters coming. And that's where our biggest opportunities and also challenges will be, is that how can we find ways to create really safe or impactful places for people to rock up. And that's sort of something that really gets me out of bed every day, is that there's so much optimization we can have to have further impact.
Yeah, and it's like when you look at the stats, 4,000 plus volunteers is absolutely incredible, man. It's just so for you guys to generate that amount of authenticity for people to get to get behind you. I guess what's the logistics behind that? What's the tech? Like, as you said, your whole sort of ethos, let's give everything a crack. How, as you as a leader, how does that ethos move through those 4,000 people, and how do you manage that? How do you manage that? That's a massive system. So,
yeah, I think, like a good tree is that it grows over time, and, it blows my mind. I was at the Orange Sky Sunshine Coast 10th birthday on the weekend. Lucas was at the Canberra's 10th birthday, and we've got, hundreds of volunteers that have volunteered for over a decade. And, looking these volunteers in the eyes, and it's like, we came up here 10 years ago and knew no one in the Sunshine Coast, and you believed in us. And for 10 years, you've been coming out at the same time, same place every week. Like, there is something that is far greater than any process or policy or system. There is this inner commitment or this inner love or generosity or whatever you want to call it from a fellow human that's just been so determined to show up. And if you think about how much the world's changed in the last 10 years, for someone to be that consistent just blows my mind. And so, when we started, we didn't need a rostering system. It was like our friends and family. I was like, pick up the phone. It's like, Dad, I need the van taken
Can you help? Yeah.
and then we had just friends and family. And then I can remember when we launched in Melbourne, we left and we're like, we don't know if the van's gone out. Did it help anyone? Did we leave the key in the van? And so they had this little notebook that they left in the glove box that did their rostering and that sort of thing. And so, now with thousands of volunteers, we've got an incredible team of staff that support, those amazing volunteers. We've got volunteer leaders. We've got, incredible policies and rostering systems. But they sort of sit around. But what I think is the glue that keeps everything together is really activating those values or those philosophies at Orange Sky. Some Orange Sky volunteers might not know that they're part of thousands of other volunteers. Some volunteers might even know that the van goes out in New Zealand or the logistics behind it. But what I hope they know is that, we use the F word at Orange Sky. We don't have clients or customers. We have friends. We hope that, they know that we talk about the power of a conversation at Orange Sky. And so, yes, they are there to get the van to work and wash clothes, but what they're really there to do is sit down and have a chat or connect with someone. And so, maybe some of our volunteers, if you compared all of our volunteers, they're probably doing everything a little bit differently. And I think that's the beauty and the nuance of Orange Sky, is that we're not trying to replicate one form of connection. We're trying to inspire people to be like, go out there and connect.
Yeah. And like going into your headquarters here in Brisbane and just meeting your team, just like people are there because they want to be there. And, if you look at that with the volunteers and the vans going in and out, it's also a two-way street, right? Because you're there supporting and helping friends on, that are doing maybe having a tough time. It's also, what's the feedback from your staff and your volunteers about what they get out of it? Because it is a two-way street. For everything you give, there's something you're getting back. And I found that very, very early on in my life when I did a lot of volunteering. And, people would say, Adam, why are you spending your weekends doing this and that? I'll be like, dude, I know this sounds weird, I'm getting more back for me by giving than anything else. So it's like, it really is a two-way street. So tell us how your employees and how your volunteers feel about that.
Yeah, and it's been one of those greatest learnings at Orange Sky. Like when we started was like, this van will go out, we'll help someone wash and dry their clothes. And it was almost like a linear value exchange.
Yeah.
But then what we realized is that, like all these thousands of volunteers they too can be lonely, isolated, and disconnected. We've heard so many stories about friends that we help not talking to anyone else throughout the week apart from our Orange Sky volunteers, and how special they feel when a volunteer speaks to them. But at the same time, we now hear so many stories of where volunteers too are having a terrible week or are lonely or isolated, and Orange Sky is the greatest couple of hours in their week because they're like, I'm going to go out and I'm not going to get judged. I'm going to connect with people and I'm going to feel useful or whatever those things are. So, people volunteer for so many different reasons, and people come to Orange Sky for so many different reasons. And so I think that's the beauty, is almost like this jam of humans where we never exactly know what's going to happen on a shift. We never know who's going to be there, who's going to rock up. Like, we don't take pre-bookings for laundry or anything like that. We have sort of a roster, but people change. We don't know about the weather. We're operating outside. And so there's sort of this magic where there's a bit of magic that just operates, where we're like, cool, we'll be at this location from 6 till 8 p.m. every week.
Yep.
And there'll be some similar things, like there'll probably be a van there, there'll probably be chairs, there'll probably be people doing washing. But there is this magic where, a volunteer will say, hey, Richard, how did you go last week at your job interview? And Richard say, I got a job. Wow. And volunteers and Richard will connect and be like, that's awesome.
Yep.
Or, a volunteer might rock up and be like, I just had a shit day. And a friend be like, hey, tell me about it.
Yeah.
It's like, hold up.
Yeah.
Like, again, we thought this was about to be a volunteer helping a friend, and now a friend's helping a volunteer.
It's community. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And tell us, you guys have been on obviously a solid curve of growth, and, for everyone out there, obviously, the whole space of helping and uplifting is based around raising money and being able to do more, because if you get more funding, you can do more great work. So can you just share what your aspirations are between now? I know you've got some big ones between now and 2030, and what you see, and if there's anything new that you're going to add into the mix over this next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, our goal is to double our impact over between now and FY30, and coming back to that little seed, I can remember we had one of our more serious meetings when we started. It's like, let's do a workshop about the future of Orange Sky, and at that point in time, I think we just had that second van. We thought it was about $100,000 to build a van and to run it, and the conversation was around, well, where do we want to see Orange Sky? And I was like, let's have 10 vans, and everyone looked around the table like, 10 vans, like, that's so many vans. I was like, no, let's just go for 10.
Yeah.
And, we all sort of had this agreement, well, if we want to build 10 vans, then that would be $1 million.
Yeah.
I was like, when you're 19, it's like the thought of raising $1 million was just like the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah.
And like I said, now Orange Sky's nearly got 100 assets around the country. We've got, over 57 locations that we're operating. And so I guess so many times throughout Orange Sky's existence, I've sort of had one of these dreams, or we've spoken about a dream, and it's felt incredibly ambitious or ridiculous, and then we've actually realized that, or we've actually gone into a completely different space. And I think that's the nuance of Orange Sky, is that in the next 5 years, we want to really show up where Orange Sky should be showing up. And what we mean by that is that, we know that there's these massive populations of people that need Orange Sky services. And at the moment, we're not helping them. One example of that is that we know that one of the greatest growing cohorts of friends is young people. And so a couple of years ago, we trialed a laundry in a school. And now, over the next year, we'll launch another 7 schools that'll have Orange Sky services. And,
wow.
I already struggled going to school, and I had opportunity to have clean clothes and have food and have, a supportive family. But there's so many people out there that have so many barriers to even going to school. And so, I'm incredibly proud to see, Orange Sky operating in schools now. We know that Australia has the highest rates of rheumatic heart disease in the world. And a key driver of that is having access to a washing machine. My grandmother had RHD and she lived to 90. But if my grandmother was Indigenous or Aboriginal in a community that didn't have access to washing machines, it's incredibly likely that she wouldn't have had the same health outcomes because of a lack of access to laundry services. So, we have a massive growth target in growing our services into remote communities in Australia. But I think, the beauty of Orange Sky is that we actually never know where it'll go to. And that's actually a reflection of the community. We could have never predicted a pandemic that reminded people of the importance of hygiene and human connection. But our team showed up and they adapted through that. We know that the cost of living is causing a massive impact on, volunteers having to pay to drive to shift and use their own fuel, or volunteers having to work multiple jobs and they can't volunteer. And so we're really going to have to continue to innovate. But the beauty of Orange Sky is I think we're always able to listen and do something with that.
Awesome. And just to really simplify things for our donors listening out there, tell us monetary wise, I think it's $24, is it? So just expand on people really want to know what they can do, where their money goes, and what they're going to get for it. So just give us a little short, sharp blast on that one.
Yeah, and my belief is that anyone can help Orange Sky. And so that's in a financial way, that's in a volunteer way, but that's also just telling someone about Orange Sky services. And, we always talk about Orange Sky, the biggest impact you can have is have a conversation. And so specifically from a financial impact, it costs us $24 to wash and dry someone's clothes. And, what we really want to do is for people to see the direct impact that their service is happening. Yeah. But also what we realize is that to run Orange Sky, there's so many moving pieces. Like you saw, we build the vans, we recruit volunteers, we maintain the vans, we fundraise to keep the vans on the road so a volunteer can just go out and run the service. We do so many aspects of Orange Sky, and all of that costs money. We have to insure our assets, we crash vans, all these sorts of things happen inside the organisation. And so I think, what I've always been interested in is that, so many little pieces need to come together, but then also if people can see the direct impact that they're having, then that sort of fuels the work that we do. And, I think the greatest example of that is that, volunteers aren't paid. Yeah. They're giving their time, but they go out there and every week or fortnight that they volunteer, I guess they're validating, is this having an impact? And I think that's one of the things that keeps us so close to our mission, is that I'm really confident that if a volunteer is giving up their time and going out there week after week, that they believe that they're having a massive impact. Yeah.
Oh, couldn't agree more. And from the other side of things, there's obviously a lot of small organisations, charities and foundations out there that are starting out. What's a couple of key things that you've really learnt? Obviously, Friendship Tree, we've started our own foundation over the last year or two, and we've learned a hell of a lot. And so what's a couple of 3 or 4 little pieces of advice or sort of encouragement? Because it's tough to start. You're usually starting with nothing, no money, getting funding. Just tell us, what can you explain to those people out there who are really obsessed and committed, like us, to making change?
Yeah, I think, building on this beautiful tree we've spoken about, there are so many ideas in the world, and, Orange Sky may never have existed if we didn't just plant that seed and give it some nurturing. And we told so many people about this idea. Like I said, we told our parents and they were like, start washing your own clothes. We told councils, we told donors, we told anyone that would listen to it. It's like, we're going to build this van. They're like, yeah, good luck. That'll never work. Oh yeah, well, that sounds great. But then we actually built it, the seedling cracked, and all these people came around it and they admired it like this beautiful baby. Yeah. And they were like, wow, this makes sense. You could bring it here. You should make another one. And it would have never happened if we just kept on talking about it. So, one of my real beliefs is that, life is this balance between wisdom and action. And there's so many things that we know we should do, but we actually don't do them. And so, that piece of advice around just giving things a go, giving things a crack, and really trying to realize that, I think has been a big part of Orange Sky. And then the second is just really thinking about how to activate community. And I am still blown away of the people that come and make Orange Sky possible. And Orange Sky, is far from Nic and Lucas. It was Nic and Lucas back in 2014 when we had one van, but now it's thousands of volunteers, donors and supporters each and every week. And so, I'm blown away that there's so much generosity and support out there, but also there's so many things that still need to happen in this world. And that's what, again, excites me, is that there's incredible innovations like Friendship Tree, where it's around, let's actually really think about how do we revolutionize giving in this country, or activating volunteers or responding to certain needs. I think that, one of my curiosities is that there's 54,000 charities in Australia. And as a country, it's in our DNA to give back, but also there are so many opportunities to optimize that or to share more. And, there's so much potential out there. There's just opportunities to keep on tweaking it. And that's the thing that excites me, is that we're a very generous country. We've got incredible volunteering, and there's so many opportunities that people need help. And so there should be an opportunity to keep on optimizing that.
Yeah, great. And look, I guess I just wanted everyone to know that Orange Sky is obviously, for us at Friendship Tree, one of our favourite organisations. Forget about giving and, the foundational networks for Australia. I'm talking about organisations in general. One of our favourites, one that we've followed, one that we've also, and the times when it's been really hard for us too, Nick, and the tough times that you question yourself because, like you said, a lot of people go, oh, you'll never get that done. When you see other people that have actually done it and are still doing it, you guys have been an inspiration. And so please, everyone, reach out, come through our platform. And Nick, where else can what else can people do to help? It's not just about money, right? Fire away. What else can we do?
Yeah, I always encourage people to jump onto our website, orangesky.org.au. You can find out where Orange Sky operates. If you need access to one of our services, you can register to volunteer. You can find out how to make a donation. But most importantly, you can read more about homelessness in Australia. And, like I said, we talk about the power of a conversation. And, after listening to this, you might have a think about how do you want to give a couple hours of your time every week? And that might be actually just going and signing up for a local charity and volunteering, or it might be signing up for a regular donation and keeping informed about organisations having an impact.
Awesome. So, dude, thanks so much. We're incredibly honoured to be partnering with Orange Sky. So look, to everyone out there, jump on board, get in touch, either Friendship Tree, Orange Sky, get in, donate, find out, become part of the community, help. It's good for you. It's good for everyone. Big thanks, man. And I'll look forward to seeing you out on one of the sites really soon. And no doubt it's been really nice to connect with you. And I'd really like to continue our friendship. And a lot of the way you guys talk, that, all the people that you look after and try and serve are your friends. And hence the whole reason of Friendship Tree. For us, trees go into the ground. A lot of the work happens where you don't see, like organisations. And, to me, friends and spreading community is, especially now in our crazy times, is really one of the most important things. So, man, lots of love from us to you. And we'll look forward to chatting again soon. And thanks, everyone. And get on to Orange Sky, 100% backed and partnering with Friendship Tree. Thank you.
Thanks, friends.
Cool. Awesome, brother.
Easy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. You happy with that?